Hi, everyone. Welcome to office hours. Thank you for joining us. We're kind of waiting for people to filter in before we get started. However, if somebody has a question and wants to raise their hand, no reason why we can't get started with questions if there are any. I don't see any raised hands.
Let me hit record real quick.
It is recording.
It is recording.
It is.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, waiting still for people to filter in. Anyone have a question that they want to get us started with? I know. Oh, all right, Donna, thank you so much.
Hi. Just a quick question about membership renewals. So I had a person put in to renew their account, and I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. They have been expired for long enough that when they put in their renewal, it gave them a date that is in the past as when their renewal date was. Now, I assume the easiest way is just to change their expiration date, but I just wanted to kind of I'm with Co-op Central Ohio. I just kind of wanted to ask about that in general, if there's a more efficient way to do that, or if there's a different way that I should handle that. Is that typically how it's supposed to happen?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things about that. And actually, part of that is part of part of my explanation is also going to be relevant toward the discussion that we're having later about the chapter awards. So that's actually a really good question to lead us off here. So first, let's start with the name of the person.
Yes, I should have looked that up before I asked my question. So give me just a hot second to find that for you. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody's at my door. Hold on one second. I'm so
hey,
sorry. I don't know who.
great.
Gives you some time, Donna.
Yeah, there we go.
This is
So I guess I'll take 1 second while Yvonne is also out and Donna's checking, just to tell everybody that I have developed. So we do have some FAQs. Sorry, Yvonne, I'm taking advantage of your being away just to make an announcement, I guess. So we have a FAQs page on your site called the admin FAQs, but it has limitations in terms of some of your coordinators being able to access it. So I have actually created a page on the NIGP website, and I'll put the link in chat here, and it basically has the FAQs. It also has a whole listing of training videos. So for instance, we covered scholarship tracking. So that's a new video, and I've placed it. There's 2 tabs at the top that you can hyperlink to the bottom to get to the training videos. So these are there. These are some of the top training videos that we have. The new administrator training that Club Express has offered, the academy training that we did, and then some of the other more specific topic-based videos. So I'll continue to add to this. So I just want to let people know that it's there. It's on the NAGP website. And once again, I will give you the link here in chat. So just as a quick reference, one thing only to note is that the FAQs and some of the videos are referencing the old admin panel. So that's the one thing that may just be a little confusing. Most of the ways in which you do things are the same. It's just that the admin panel is in the old. So that's the only thing just to mention. So, okay, back to Donna's question. So sorry, Donna.
Oh yeah, no problem. So the person's last name is Thomas, and I actually have already fixed their expiration date. It's Donita, the second one on that list. But you'll be able to see from like the transactions what she had when she had renewed, right? So it had been that she had renewed in like I think 2023 or something like that. So she had 1 year of membership. Yeah, that's my that I made a note to notate that we had extended it to give her the 1 year that she had paid for. But the thing that I found curious was that it did say she was active. It did, I believe it said she was active, but it said that her expiration date was in the past.
Yeah.
So I figured that probably the most likely way to fix it was just to update the expiration date, but I didn't know if there was some other piece of information we need to know to make that function better, or we just had never marked her as dropped. So
Okay. So yeah, so like I said, this is a good lead into some discussion, and plus multiple things to discuss. So first of all, that is in case some of you haven't noticed, there is this notes in people's profiles. If it's green, it means that there is a note. If it's red, it means that there isn't a note. So that's a good thing for you to use. As you can see, she did put a note in here that she renewed on 3/23. She had been expired. So obviously probably what happened is she never renewed in 2025. And so it's a good thing to use this little note option for you to keep some notes for yourself. But let's go into her profile and also go to her payment and credit history, which automatically defaults to 12 months. And I'm going to change that to all. And so here I can see she's only made 2 payments. One was in 2023, one was in 2026. So if I look at this, it's going to say that it was for her membership renewal. You must have started the website at some point in probably 2022 or early 2023, which is why it says renewal versus a new member. And then of course she never renewed in 24. She never renewed in 25. So she's only renewed in 26. So if we go back to the control panel here and look at renewal settings, down here, it says these are what this website settings are. Expire the member 5 minutes after their expiration date. And yes, expired members can log in, but they can't go anywhere on the website until they renew. So that's why she was able to log in 2 years after being expired. And right away, it prompted her to renew. She can't click on any other links up here until she renews. And then she renewed. And then what happened was new expiration date is based on the old expiration date. So her old expiration date was 12/31/2023. So the other day when she clicked and renewed, it would have changed it to 12/31/2024, most likely. But yes, it'll say that she's active, even though her expired date was 12/31/2024. So it's not the best option right here. A lot of you're on rolling renewals. You're better to set the new expiration date is based on the date of payment, since you're on rolling renewals anyway. So in other words, if she had paid on 3/27/2026, her new date would be 3/26/2027, her new expiration date. So that's something you want to look at, especially if you're on rolling renewals.
So, sorry, I have a question about that. But wouldn't that mean that, like, so let's say my agency's membership is set to expire in October, but I make my payment in August. Won't that change my expiration date to August and not October?
No, it won't. It won't go earlier. If you're in the renewal process, which is another thing here to look at, I did not make any changes there, just so you know. Let's go back here and look at something. Yeah, you have it set up that you can renew early. So if she renewed, if you had that changed to your new expiration date is based on the payment, and she went ahead right now and renewed her 2027 membership, it would still have this date. Or it would still be, it would be 3/23 or whatever, 2028, even if she did it in January or in July. So as long as you're renewing early or you're within the grace period of renewal, it will keep the same renewal date. For instance, I have a website that I work with that has a 45-day grace period after expiration. If you remember, you had let's see, let's go back to renewal. So people tab, renewal expiration settings, and you have the grace period of 5 days. If I have a site that has 45 days, if they renew within that 45 days after expiration, their new renewal date is still the old because they renewed within that expiration, that grace period.
Oh, okay. So it only changes the date if you are outside of that grace period.
Right.
Okay.
If they
So if
become
they,
expired. So for instance, if the new date, if the grace period ended April 1st and they didn't pay until May 15th, then their new expiration date will be starting with May 15th. However, if the expiration date were April 1st and the grace period ended May 15th and they paid on May 1st, their expiration date will stay with that April 1st, because they renewed within the grace period. I hope I said that clearly and everybody understood.
yes, that it makes more sense that it's within the grace period.
Yeah.
So in this situation, if we had had it set that way when this person renewed, it would have done what I did manually, which is it would change their expiration date based on that payment. She would get 1 year from that payment date.
Well, if you had a 1 year grace period, but no, see, remember up here, new expiration date is based on the old expiration date. So in other words, what that means is they expired 3 years ago. They're not going to get a new expiration date of a year from now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the settings we have now, that is why what happened. And
Yes.
that is why she had an effective date in the past.
Yes.
If we changed our settings to be based on date of payment, you are saying that if she had done the same thing and our setting was based on date of payment, it would have set her expiration date to be 1 year in the future from the date she made the payment.
Yes, that's the way it's supposed to work. Yes.
That's what I was trying to ask and didn't ask it very well. So,
Yeah.
okay. So if we change that setting, that would mean that in the future, if this happened, it would do what I did manually.
Yes.
But if someone renewed within our grace period, it would still be based on whatever their existing date was, even if we changed that setting.
Correct.
Okay. That makes sense.
And the reason I bring that up is being something that is going to be discussed with the chapter awards, is because well, and it also has to do with when you do your member data forms. You have to look at you have to look at, just because somebody is a member and they've been a member since 2023 in this case, if you ran your membership report and you saw that they were a member in 2026, it doesn't mean that they were a continual member since 2023. There may have been years where they lapsed off and now they're so you don't want to automatically assume that they've been a member, if they became a member in 2023, that they have been a member every single year since. That's one thing you have to worry about within Club Express when you're doing your member data forms and the information that is going to be gathered for the chapter awards and reports.
Well, we can get into that. We have some questions probably that we should address first. Sherry, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have a question about membership as well. And we have a event coming up, conference. And so if your membership hasn't been renewed and you're coming to the conference fee is $350. If you haven't renewed your membership, you're a non-member and the conference fee is $375. That includes the annual renewing fee for your membership, and that's set up in the system already. But I have a person who registered, but it's not showing because she's sending a check. But I thought it would still show that they're registered for the conference and a member since they're sending a check.
Which group are you with?
Governmental Procurement Association of Georgia, GPEG.
Okay. Which event is it?
Next month. Yeah. The spring conference.
So active members pay $350, non-members pay $375.
Which includes a year of membership.
Okay. I just want to look at the event when I'm not logged in.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when I'm not logged in, my only option is the $375.
Yes.
And who is the person that you were?
Angela Glover.
Glover. Okay, so all right, I see one thing I already see is under registration and fees.
Okay, wait, how'd you get you?
Registration and fees.
Okay,
I'm
go
in the
ahead.
event. A fee will be charged for the event, payment in full in advance, and you are not requiring immediate payment. So that was the one thing I wanted to look at. Because if you were requiring immediate payment, had Glover registered and not paid within 30 minutes, her registration would have showed up as canceled. But she has shown up as open because she's mailing a check. And you're allowing them to mail a check instead of canceling the registration if they don't pay right away.
Right.
So what is your question exactly? So I know that what you're gonna do, let's see, first of all, let's go to control panel, people manager. I'm going to click on both and I'm going to check all and I'm going to type in her last name. Okay, so she has an expired membership, as well as this is the active membership this is the active non-membership for her registration. So let's see what this balance due is. This is for renewing the membership, okay?
Right.
Now she also has a $375 payment here. That's going to be a problem. Because she's going to pay $375 and you're not going to be able to, you're going to apply $375 to this open check, which still leaves a $25 balance due here. Even though basically $350 of that is for the event and $25 of that check is for her membership. Is that correct?
Correct.
So the other thing is, so when you do get the check, you're going to have to make sure that you apply. You're gonna want to do one or two things. We're really getting deep in the weeds on this one because there's a couple of different issues with this one. So you have a couple of different options. Either you can go into her open charge here, and you can put in a received check.
Okay.
And you can edit the amount and say that she paid $350. As an admin, you can do this from the back end. And then you could put in the check number. And then when you put in record check payment, it's still going to show a $25 balance here. So then you could go back in and you could do something like this, comp forgiven, When you choose comp forgiven, let's see, I'll just put 25 in here for now. Again, I'm not saving any of this, so I just want you to
Right.
know nothing is getting saved.
Yeah.
You would be able to put in a little note here that says $25 was applied to her membership or something to that effect. Okay. Then you could, and then that would end up zeroing this 375 out, but
Okay.
you're still going to have to go to this open invoice
Mm-hmm.
and
I marked that one.
something right. So here you could either comp out the 25 and
Mm-hmm.
again put a little note that it was processed with the 375 registration fee, or you could go to received check and then put that balance of the $25 check here.
Okay.
This is causing a lot of work, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The better option would have been to, let's see, to have them, I don't even know. You're saying that it's an option for them. They know that it's an option for them to register as a non-member, which will register for the event as a non-member, which will automatically include their $25 membership fee.
Yes. Yes.
Then I guess that's really the only way you can do it.
Because
The smarter,
she was asking, do I need to send it's two individuals. So she said, do I need to send a check for our membership and then another check for our conference fee? And then she would have to send the membership check before the conference fee, which the conference has to be paid by this week. So I told her just do the 375 and we'll fix it on the back end.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like this is something you're doing routinely and having anyone who pays the 375 is automatically going to become a member for 25. This is just this is like kind of a one-off.
No, it's not a one-off. It is because we have a spring conference, and then our membership goes from January to December. So it happens
It happens more often than you
more
wish.
often than not. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's going to be the way you're going to have to handle it. Obviously, you can somebody can definitely send one check for membership and one check so somebody could pay you with one check and you can
Right.
process two invoices. That's not an issue.
Okay.
Maybe the better way would have been and I'm not sure this is going to be whatever you find to be the better way, would have been for you to go in and process her registration as a member at 350. And then she'd have an open invoice for 350. And then she also had the $25 open invoice for her renewal. The only problem with doing that is that you would have to do some back end work around on the event. So I think if it's something that doesn't happen more than, if you get 50 registrants and it only happens 5 times, you're better
Right.
off doing it the way you just did it.
Okay. It's about that number. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, so she has two records, the one with the 25 and the one with the 375. As a member, she can't, because she wasn't a member. Okay. Because I was like, why is it creating a new record, that second record down there?
Right.
Because she was expired.
Right. So you're going to want to merge these profiles. I would
Yeah.
wait. I would just go ahead and wait until you get the check.
Yes.
And then once you have the check and you've applied $25 to her membership and she becomes active again,
Yes.
then I would go up to this member options and cleanup tools. And you're going to, let's see, wait a minute, let me think about this. No, I'm sorry, you're going to want to go to the non-member cleanup, non-member options, cleanup tools. You can look for anyone who's got first name and email address, you can look for duplicates here and you can clean up. But that's if you're trying to do a mass cleanup all at once. If you look at this member options, cleanup tools, you have several expired members and active members. You can do a one-click cleanup doing that. But to do a one-off cleanup, you would find the member, again, click on both, all items checked, find the member. Once
Mhm.
she's active, go to the non-member profile, because you can only merge through this, in the way that I'm showing you right now, you can only
Yeah.
merge through the non-member.
Mhm.
Go to more options, merge, and then you're going to merge her with the member, and you just find her membership. And then you'll merge her. I don't want to do it now. It
Right.
shouldn't matter. It should not matter whatsoever if I did it right now anyway, but
We want to
just
wait till she's
because,
active and we receive
yeah,
it back.
yeah,
Okay.
just until you clean out both of these invoices, I would just wait.
Okay. Thank you. I'll do that.
Ginny, you have your hand up.
Yeah, my question was to kind of piggyback off Donna's earlier inquiry, and it made me curious about how our setting is for a renewal. And ours is set up quite differently. And I feel like this is a good exercise for everybody to take a look to see what is the best setup. So it is a little bit more consistent throughout all of NIGP, really, if you were using Club Express. So go ahead and click there, um, Yvonne. So ours is set up where the first notice is 60 days. And I don't know, our previous membership secretaries set this up, but I think it makes a lot of sense. So the first notice is 60 days before it expires, 30 days is the second notice, and then 15 days is the third notice. I noticed Donna was like -3, and I'm not sure how that works. But also in our expiration, we delayed about 120 days. I know the reasoning for that. It's if somebody, for example, left their agency, was trying to move to another agency, that we allow them that grace period in order to do the switch to their new profile. And then if you scroll down to the expiration, or I'm sorry, the most important thing on the top, which I've totally jumped off, is that the rolling renewal is based on the join date, but also the date of renewal, not the date of the old expiration, because I don't know that that matters. It should be the new renewals. So we've had no issues with anybody trying to log in until they actually pay because of that setting. And I don't know if anybody else has that experience, or maybe if everybody can look at their setting and see how all different we are, and maybe what's the best uh, flavor, if you can call it that.
Well, I will just jump in and say, Jimmy, the negative number, that is based on the fact that the third notice generally is sent post expiration date. So it's that letter that sign kind of says your membership is expired. NIGP does that, for instance.
Okay.
So
So we should have that as a -3 then, instead of a 15 days
it's
before
whatever you
expiration.
determine, but that's some chapters have decided that sending it, giving that 60, 30, whatever, 10, 15, whatever days ahead, but then sending that notice that says, okay, now your membership is expired and you're not going to receive benefits or whatever. So that's what that negative number is, just to clarify.
Okay, that's good to know.
And
I
just
did.
FYI, you can only get that, you can only do a negative number if you're sending out 3. If you're only sending out 2, you don't get the option to do the negative number. It has to be 3 to get
Okay.
the option for the negative. I'm not saving this.
Okay.
And then the last thing, again, with that email, you're going to want to go to communications, system emails, scroll down to your renewal. These go in alphabetical order, so scroll down. Renewal notice 3, that would be the one that would go negative. It's not automatically set up in Club Express. Their default text is not set up for negative. So the default text is, see, it's gonna say, the default text was gonna say will expire on. So if you end up setting it to a negative, you're gonna wanna go into your renewal notice number 3 and change it to did expire on.
Okay, well, I'll leave our third notice at 15 days before then. This seems like it makes sense. I did just notice where it talks about we could print the renewal letter, by going to control panel under admin, click print letters. Do you mind showing that? Because that might be an option we might also try to utilize if things are going in the junk mail.
Yeah, so you're talking about this one here?
Yes, correct,
This
correct.
this is new for Club Express.
Oh.
It used to, so you could set you can renew somebody manually, or you can set it to auto renew. And then when they did auto renew, let me go to people. Let's see if I can find somebody that owes. This one here. It would basically be printing this invoice. And you could have you could print this invoice and then mail it out to people. You could always do this within Club Express. Now
Okay.
what they're doing is you can customize a renewal invoice. Club Express also used to allow you to set it up that they would send out your invoices for you. And they stopped sending out invoices, and I mean manual paper invoices. They would charge you postage and a processing fee, but they would send out if like your third renewal invoice, if somebody didn't pay, they would print the renewal invoices and mail it. Now they are allowing you to set up your own and do it yourself. They're no longer sending them out for you. Oh. And that is under the control panel, people, admin, print letters.
Okay.
This is brand new.
Sure. Okay. I just noticed it. That's why I'm like, that's new.
Let's see, admin, print letters. So I'm still getting used to all this too. Where do you see
It says
print?
under admin functions, but is it people manager or people lookup?
No, so it's, let's see, configure.
Yeah, it seems to be missing one step.
I don't see print letters. Let me look at, I know I've been working on an invoice for another group. So let me see what that looks like. See, there's the print letters. That's what we're looking for.
It's under people, actually. Okay, control panel,
Yeah,
people under
people,
admin
but I'm
function.
not,
Okay,
still not seeing it here.
yeah.
And I don't see it here. So again, this is brand new. So
Okay.
we're learning together here. I don't see how to turn that on.
Should be in configure, right?
Unless, if you notice with this one, because this is one of those ones that Club Express was printing the third renewal, I'm wondering if you have to have your third option set to,
Regular
I'll change
mail
this
only.
back. I'll
Okay,
change
sure,
this back.
sure.
But let's
Yeah.
set that.
Let's save it. Yeah.
And then let's see if we can find a print. Still not there.
Do you need to get
Interesting.
out and come back in? I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's a good reset.
Would be, we just need to reach out to Club Express and ask. I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, it could be that, or it could be as my universal universal login across all NIGP websites. Maybe I don't have that option. Maybe if Ginny looks at it, she does see print, but I definitely don't see print. If it is something that anybody wants to do and wants to actually mail out invoices, we're going to have to look into it to see how to get that turned on. But I don't want to screw up your settings here, so I'm going to change that back.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I like that you showed the actual invoice because I'm thinking in my head, not actually mailing it, printing it as in PDF copy, send it as an email with an attachment to say time to renew. That might get their attention better than another
Yeah.
kind of generic email. So,
yes.
great. Thank you for that.
But just confirm, Jenny, go into your website that I set everything back to the way it was. I believe it was
Yeah.
just the only thing I changed was this.
Yeah, correct. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was a standard out there, standard work. Why are we in different, how do we set it up properly?
Yeah,
So
so
we're
it is
kind of
a
consistent.
template. They want you to do a whole template. Like I said, I've been working with this group doing it, trying to start the template. It's kind of like when you're building the certificate for anybody who's been
Mhm.
working with the certificates. It's similar to that. And, but that's what you can do if you decide that you want to do that.
Okay.
Jimmy, do you have another question? Your hand is still up, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll lower it now.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I don't see any hands up. So Yvonne, did you want to talk about the chapter award, the chapter seals? I don't know if Jennifer, if you want to speak to what this is first, or I'll let you
Sure,
go.
I'll start into that. So we had our webinar last week on completing the outstanding awards and the performance, the standard seals rather. And a couple things popped up of questions of how to run some reports and pull that data out of Club Express that you need to answer several of those questions in which you have to give a percentage. So I sent those over to Yvonne so we could talk about going over what is in the database that you can pull, how to properly pull it. So that's what she's going to go over because there's two very specific that you can do. But one thing that I did want to bring up, and I think it was purposeful that it happened to be that first question, is about running that report about who are your current members. There's a question that we asked, there's two questions that we asked that are based on the percentage of your membership from last year that have done X, Y, or Z, attended a class, or your growth. And I think Yvonne did show in that first example why sometimes running that report now is not as accurate as we would like it to be. So I really want to encourage you to use the data that you submitted on your member data forms in 2005 and 2004. Those are the most accurate. You ran those at the end of the year, right when that member data form was due. And that's going to give you the most accurate data for you to base some of these other questions on. And then Yvonne is going to show us here how to run. I think the two things we're going to talk about is how to pull attendance at events and go over that a little bit. And I think there was one other one. So I will turn that over to you.
Okay. So I'm just going to start with Copper here. I'm using them for my demonstration. So a couple of the questions that Jennifer had sent were, what percentage of your members renewed their membership in 2025? So, you know, that's when you're going to want to go back to your member data forms that you have already submitted and look at who were members in the previous year, who are now members in the new year. Same with what is the percentage of net growth from 2024 to 2025. Again, you're going to look at the data forms that you've already sent in to gather that information. To gather that information, when you're actually doing your member data form in January, the best place to get that, hopefully you've been using the chapter tab and the data export. And the data export has a report right here that is all members, including expired and dropped. This is the report that I like to use. And when you export this, it exports in a CSV. And of course, it has lots of columns that are not necessary, that you don't need. It's too much information, but you can clear those out. But one of the columns in there is join date, which again, if we had looked at this report with our first thing that we looked at today, it would say join date of April of 2023 for that one member Glover, I think it was, if I'm not getting my names mixed up between the event and the first member. But it would say that she joined in 2023, and then another column would say last renewed. And the last renewed would have said 3/26/2027. Well, if you're looking at that report, you're assuming that she joined in 2023 and paid every single year since, and her latest payment or her latest renewal was March of 2026. That is inaccurate. That's why this report is not necessarily going to be the best report for the chapter award report. But if you run this report every single year, you're going to know it's going to have an expiration date, and you're going to know for your member data form that's due in January, what your membership numbers were for the previous year. So does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying? Why you wouldn't want to take this report now and try to use it for this chapter award, because it's not going to have the most accurate information. Your previously submitted member data forms are going to be better for those two questions. Okay. Then another question that was asked, or that's part of that report, is your event attendance or event registration. So hopefully you are creating events on your Club Express website, and you are not only creating events, but hopefully marking attendance. If you're not marking attendance, when you run a report of event registration, it's just going to tell you that the people registered for the event. It's not going to say whether or not they attended the event. So for this report, for this chapter award, you're trying to gather that the chapter members who have participated in a educational program. They can register, but not necessarily participate unless you're checking them as attended. So hopefully this website. Okay, let's look at this event. Oh, we need one that's passed. So this is a good website because they have a lot of events on their website. Would this count, for instance? Well, it's NA, so that's not going to work. I guess for this one, we're just going to have to use this. Would this be okay to use as an example, Jennifer? Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
So this one had 78 people registered. I'm going to edit this event. And first thing I'm going to look at is registration and fees, just to go in here and see if they're tracking. So yes, this event, they have turned tracking on, okay? So this is important, especially if you're going to go in and mark people attended afterwards. So that's under the registration and fees, track attendance. And then what you would do is after the event, you can go into this button here, attendance, mark attendance. Okay, so they were tracking, but they never marked anybody as attended. So that's also important, is to make sure you're marking the people attended. So after the event, if everybody attended or whoever attended, they could check all, and then maybe this person didn't attend and this person didn't attend, and then they would hit save and these people would be marked as attended. Since this event was tracked but not actually marked, let me hit cancel. We're going to look at a couple of different reports. Under the events tab, let me go back through this back end here. Under the control panel website events, up here are reports. And here you can, if they were remembering to track, you could run this report for meeting attendance by member. So this is going to show the ones that you actually tracked them. But because they're not tracking, we're just going to run meeting registration by event category. So you can do all event categories, or if you have them drilled down to very specific that you're trying to track attendance to, then you can, or list attendant registration to. You can do the one that you're trying to find, or you can just do all event. Next, it gives you a period. So let's do last year. And I'm just going to run an HTML so we can see it here. So here, they did not track anybody, but if they were tracking, it would say that they also attended. But this is how you can find your educational programs, who participated in educational programs, by running this report. And Jennifer, is that the information that would be what they would be looking for?
Absolutely. And then just turn that into a percentage based on how many members you had for 2025. Some cross-checking of who attended what. Will be some Excel work in that, but at least this is how you get that one piece of that data that you need.
Right. Now I did export it, like I said, in HTML, but you can download it as an Excel and then sort by that. Now, something I noticed here is there's a lot of duplicate registrations. That's because most likely the person wasn't logged in. The registrant type is everyone. The person wasn't logged in, as well as they probably don't have avoid duplicate registrations. So since we're here, just real quickly, I want to look at that to give you an idea of some best practice. Under the registration and fees, avoid duplicate registrations. That should be turned on to yes. Now, that's not going to stop people from registering multiple times if the registrant type, so who can register, is set to everyone. If it's everyone, and especially if they're not paying, if they're paying, they're gonna log in and they're gonna know that they've already paid. But if it's a free event, they're not logging in to register, and it's set to everyone, and they go to the event to register, and they don't try to look themselves up to see if they've already registered, if they have a profile in there, and they just start from scratch, they can register multiple times because the system's not gonna know, okay? But that is a best practice to try to remember to turn on avoid duplicate registrations. So moving on though, another thing that was asked, how you guys need to provide this information for chapter awards was the leadership roles. So the leadership roles, hopefully you are also using the under People tab committees, and you are setting up your different committees. And then, of course, you can run your report at the end of the year, but it's not going to track to previous years. So this might be something you want to consider. As soon as you make a change in here, unless like this group here is doing a new board of directors every single year. So that might not be a bad idea to do that, to set up a new committee. It's just not necessary. I would just recommend tracking at the end of the year when you're ready to send in your member data form. Also complete, save yourself a list of all your members, your board members and committee members, etc. What else? I know we talked about the procurement related certification. Do you want me to go into that, Ginny, right now?
Yeah,
Ronnie,
can we talk a little bit about that? I think that's good, just because we also want to talk about how, if they're not tracking it, how they can start tracking that.
Okay. So when you were initially set up with your website, most likely you had several additional member data questions that were downloaded from your prior site and uploaded into the new site. Those are found under the People tab, additional member data. And for instance, this one has quite a bit. And a lot of this might not be being updated. So for the purposes of your chapter award, if this were kept current, you could go into this additional member data question and you can run the answers, and that would show certifications, designations. But something that you need to realize is that this might have been updated or uploaded 4 years ago, and nobody has updated it since. This is set that the visibility is the member can see it, and the edit is the member can see it, but that it's only optional. They don't have to put information in here. They don't have to update it. Excuse me. Going back to the control panel, under the new member sign up here, People tab, new member sign up. There are some settings here that have to do with when somebody joins and when somebody renews. So here, for instance, is additional member data. When somebody joins, a new member joins, they are required to go to the additional member data questions and go through them. When a member renews, they are also required to go to the additional member data question. And if they were added to the website by an admin and they did not actually create their membership profile by themselves, but an admin did, or an agency primary added them, the first time they log in, they have to go to that additional member data questions. Okay, so this is good. This is set up the way it should be set up. So it is requiring every member, the first time they log in, or when they renew, to go to their additional member data question. But again, the question for certifications and designations is only optional. So they don't have to put anything there. which makes sense kind of, because if there isn't a certification or designation, they don't need to put something in there. But you might, I don't know how many different types of certifications you guys have. I don't know if it's unlimited. But if it's not unlimited, maybe it is only 10 different ones that people could have. You may want to change your question to like a checkbox list, and they could check off which ones they have. And you could have one of them be NA, or I have none. And then that would take care of that problem. And then you'd want to make sure that this question is then required. It's not, so here in the membership application, it would be required, and they would have to put something there. They'd have to at least put NA if they have none.
So if I can just jump in here for a second, Yvonne, and say for these additional member questions, as Yvonne explained, these questions were put in place based on probably chapter manager website database that the majority of our chapters were on. A lot of this could be cleaned up. So just because all the questions show when they're going through the renewal and going through the new member applications, all of them do. So if you want to clean these up so that only the ones that apply to you, you can go in under additional member questions and delete the question. And then because a lot of these probably don't even apply at this point, like the email preferences, those just don't apply anymore. So you could absolutely delete those from your site. So I would recommend cleanup for the fact that if you want people to do their certification designations, for instance, and you can't require it because not everyone has it, people are just, if they're overwhelmed by questions, they're just going to skim through and not pay attention. So cleaning it up will focus them more on the questions you really want to get answers to.
Right. And if for some reason you decide that you're really nervous about deleting the questions, you have two options. You could run an export of all the answers and save that for historical purposes. And just that way you have the information before you delete anything. Or you can also just hide them. You can edit, and then you would go down here. It's not visible to the member. And then that way they're not going to see that question. They're not going to be required to scroll through a whole bunch of questions during the renewal process and get tired of scrolling and just say, drop to the bottom and hit next.
And then Yvonne, we were going to talk about surveying, right?
Right.
If you don't have that information.
Yeah, so the other, and of course, if you're not using the survey module, this could totally pertain to using the survey module for other things. But a couple of the questions that are asked for the chapter awards are, let's see, where is it? I got it here. Even if it's the current procurement related certification, you might want to send out an email to your members with a link to a survey where you ask them, you say, we're going up for a chapter award. We need this information from our members. Please take 30 seconds to fill out this information. And so under the communications tab, there is the survey module. If you are in the website and you are in the communications tab and you do not see this, and it could be titled something different because these can be named differently. But if you don't see surveys or this image, then you need to go to configure, and then you would need to turn on surveys. And by doing that, you would just, turn this on and make it active. Okay, this website has it active, but I'm just letting you know, if you ever see us in one of these things and you're not seeing it on your website, go to that tab, go to configure, and make sure that that module is active. But here under the surveys module, you can create a survey. I want to see if any have been created. Okay, great. They have a couple created here already. Before creating a survey, it has to have a category. So you might want to save a category. Maybe it has to do with chapter awards, questions.
And Yvonne, while you're doing that, the other question that you may or may not be tracking well, that would be a survey question, is we ask about what percentage of your members are engaged in volunteer activities, serving on boards, councils, committees, and task force. Depending on, of course, your board is in there and maybe your chairs, but maybe all the other volunteers that you have at registration or doing a photography or things like that that you maybe don't capture within the site. This would be another question to ask so you could gather that information and get an accurate that, wow, we have more percentage than just our officers or our chairs of our committees.
Right. So after you create the category, and again, you cannot create a survey without creating a category. I'm saying for the very first one. So if you've never used the survey module, you're not going to be able to create a new survey until you at least create one category. So after you create a category and then you create the survey, add survey, and you title it, and then that's where you're going to have to select the category. So for now, I'm just going to put it under chapter awards. I'm just going to put this 2026 chapter awards. Okay, survey button text, start survey. You can change this however you want. We don't have time to go through all this. It's really not necessary for us to go through all this. It's because you're going to be able to play around with it and test it yourself before you send it to your members, which I highly recommend. But it's a fairly robust survey module. The only thing it doesn't have is if yes, then capability. In other words, if somebody answers yes to this question, then it skips down and gives them another question down here. If they answer no, it skips that. It does not have that capability. But you can create multiple page surveys. You can create different types of questions. You can put an end date or a max response date for your close method. For now, I'm just going to do manual. You can say whether or not you want the people to be able to respond anonymously. Can members only, is this going to be a members only survey? You can have somebody be contacted right here if we wanted to, if they had questions about it. Do we want Tara to be notified anytime somebody fills out this survey? So it's really pretty robust. I'm going to remove that because I don't know who she is, and just hit save. And then when you start building the survey, let's see, I put it awards right here. You go to the pages, questions, preamble. You can put a preamble, which is, obviously what they're going to land on when they first click on the link, the postamble, results, reports, but pages and questions. These are if you add a question, these are all the type of questions you can add. And again, it's just play around with it. Most surveys are usually either a short text answer or a long text answer, or a checkbox list or a radio button or a select list. If it's only going to be yes, no, or even if it's not just yes, no, if it's 2024, 2025, maybe I served on the board of directors in 2024, or I served on the board of directors in 2025, you can use true, false, because you get to change the text for true and for false. But it just means they can only choose one answer. Okay. Does anybody have any specific questions about the survey or anything else about questions that you think that might come up with this chapter award that you're not sure how to pull the information?
And Yvonne, I already started kind of writing down a little cheat sheet, if you will, that will take those specific questions that we have that are data that would be held in Club Express. And we'll just do a little quick cheat sheet that I'll put on the awards page. We're going to have it in the next Leaders in the Loop with the recording and the slide deck. So we'll have this little cheat sheet that will help, or say what to reference or where to go under kind of a file path, if you will, Yvonne. I kind of tried to map it out as you talked about it, where you find those things that might help make it easier for them to pull those reports.
Yeah.
Jen, are you thinking like in the Excel spreadsheet little comments section that says in Club Express, this is how you apply this?
I wasn't going to put it there. I didn't even think
Would have
about
been nice.
that, Jenny. That actually
Comment.
makes sense. So let me look at that, because I was just going to kind of do it on the actual landing page of the web for the awards. But we
Yeah.
do have that field that's in that right Excel spreadsheet that we may be able to write there as a note. So let me look at that. If Yvonne's notes aren't that long and we can make them abbreviated a little bit and fill in that, Yvonne, it's the actual application. It's got a field that allows me to put notes in to reference what the question is about or to something like that that we may be able to use. And that might make better sense, Jenny. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well,
If
thank
not, I was going to
you.
do it on my own stuff. So that's my cheat sheet.
Well, thank you, Yvonne. We are at the hour, so thank you so much. There will be a recording of this that I will post to our YouTube channel, and I put the link to the video help and FAQs in chat. We will be doing this again in 2 weeks' time. So thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Yvonne.
Bye.
Bye.